you should start and lay the foundation from day zero in the beginning. That's not something that you can plug in down the road. It's something that you must enable upon starting, upon launching everything, so that you can continue and you can have the maximum amplification and the maximum strength in whatever you're doing.
Welcome to Soul Brothers Pod with myself, Simon, and a special guest today, Taki, where it is our job to throw you into the Solana rabbit hole, show you around in our exciting ecosystem, and talk about some ins and outs about Solana. And today we're going to talk about DAOs, because Realms is the home of Solana DAOs, and I have a core contributor, I think that's your official role, Taki, with me today here. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for this special holiday episode. I'm very confident and very pumped for the conversation ahead. And hello to everyone watching.
Cool. Taki, I think core contributor is at least what your Twitter is saying. How much of a founder are you in the whole concept of Realms? I think you might be at least involved in the whole creation process of it, aren't you?
So the core contributor, I think it's the most TLDR way to go about this, because as you know, we all wear many hats. I can't say that I'm a co-founder of Realms. Realms was created by Solana Labs, and we took it over as the community as community members a little over a year ago. And I'm basically doing, everything I can to help us win, from community for communication, operations, and as much as I can to help the team power through and accelerate everything.
Okay. Actually, this is already something I didn't know. So we're gonna touch on this a little bit about the backstory of Realms, because I have to admit I did a little bit of my research, but I'm not an expert at all with Realms and the things you guys do. That's also a reason why I'm actually very happy to have you here on Soul Brothers, because I myself am really interested in learning a little bit more about it, especially because I think right now it is an interesting time. There's a lot of moving pieces right now in the ecosystem, things that haven't worked in the last couple of years on Solana when it comes to governance, token launches, and so on. So there's still a lot of shit to do, I feel. And I also feel that Realms is one puzzle piece here that can provide a solution potentially to some of the problems that we're still facing. And that's, I think, a reason why you, dear listeners, should dive into the conversation with us, and also myself, why I'm very pumped to talk about this. But before we start about talking these details, Taki, let me tell you a little bit about yourself, and then you fact check me with things that might be wrong. But I know you not only as the core contributor to Realms DAO, you also working very heavily on other things like Island DAO. You've been pushing Island DAO since day zero, basically. You also have Athens DAO, Athens DAO X, which is also another community-focused event that happens down there in Athens, which is most likely the region where Taki is from. And you are also featured as a core contributor in Dean's List DAO, and over there you also have a deep role, I think, implemented over there. And you've been on the timeline a lot talking about DAOs and their future, and you have very strong opinions on it. So there must be some sort of deeper reason, which I would love to learn about, why you are actually so interested in decentralized governance, in decentralized autonomous organizations. How did that passion really come to fruition? Where did that come from, and when did you first feel like this is a topic that really interests you?
So for me, decentralization and crypto go hand in hand. It's one of the core components that crypto should embrace and should be pursuing at all times. It's one of the things that makes this industry very special. It's one of the core ethos of why cryptocurrencies launched and have been doing so well. It goes way back to the the cypherpunk values of being unstoppable by being decentralized, so nobody can stop you. And this is something that I truly believe we should be embracing, and everybody should be having as part of their, their protocol operations, the projects, whatever you are doing, you should be pursuing decentralization, because this is the way you become unstoppable, and this is the way you stay true to crypto's mission,
Hmm.
and pursuing something better, for the future of finance that we have all been envisioned, and we are also passionately working on in this ecosystem and beyond, of course.
I mean, it is. I think it sounds like you're definitely a decentralization maxi, and because what I'm hearing is decentralize everything. You're saying this is the governance model that we should use for all kinds of operations. Is there any like are you still with me when I say okay, there's it's okay to have some companies with centralized governance structure and with the board and with the leadership that is not controlled by a community and shareholders the way you pursue it, or do you want the whole world to run on decentralized infrastructure basically?
So that's a bit of a misunderstanding. Like decentralization, Maxi, I think it actually the word maxi, it never fares well. Whenever you hear
Mm.
someone being maxi about it, it means that you're very
Hmm.
narrow-sighted.
Yep.
So decentralization is not about going everything, decentralize everything to the point of stalling operations, of hindering decision making. It's all about making core components of whatever you're working on decentralized, so that you can um, not be stopped. Again, you should be unstoppable, but this doesn't mean that you should delegate decision making to everyone. You should give a voice to anyone that doesn't know what they're up to, besides you, the founder of whatever you're building, to have a
Mm.
big say on what you're doing. It has to be earned. It has to be the voices that you hear and the voices that factor in whatever you're doing and affect the decision making or whatever you're doing should be the voices of people that matter. It shouldn't be the voices of people that just got a bag of your token or
Hmm.
whatever
Okay.
on your project, and they are here to become an extreme source of noise for you. So you
Mm.
should be very, very careful. You should be decentralizing many parts of your organization, but this doesn't mean that you should decentralize everything. And this doesn't mean that you should decentralize everything from day one. This is a
Mm.
process, but you should start and lay the foundation from day zero, so you
Hmm.
can start moving forward to that towards that goal, so that
Mm.
you can also ensure continuity whenever you want to let's say move on from whatever you're doing, because you think it matured, because you want to do other things, because
Mm.
for whatever reason. Again, this is part of being unstoppable, ensuring continuity, ensuring the voices that matter to be part of whatever you're doing. And you do this to the level and degree that you're comfortable, but you need to set the foundation in the beginning. That's not something that you can plug in down the road. It's something that you must enable upon starting, upon launching everything, so that
Hmm.
you can continue and you can have the maximum amplification and the maximum strength in whatever you're doing.
Okay, so essentially, you are saying that it is definitely advisable, in your opinion and in your guys' opinion as well, that founders and projects and everyone that pursues some sort of business on Solana, especially on crypto rails, to lay at least the foundation for a decentralized autonomous organization when it comes to governance at day zero. But then there's a lot of shades, there's a lot of colors in between. Okay, how to what extent do you need to do that? How do you need to do that? It's not a black or white kind of question here. And I think that is also why currently it seems like in the space there is no holy grail yet for how do I set up a DAO and how do I manage it. Like it is really kind of a case by case thing. It depends on the project. It depends what your goals are with the project. And we don't have that beautiful template yet, I feel like. But I think that is the mission. That is what you guys are trying to do with Realms. You're trying to create actually that template and that tool that helps companies to decentralize themselves more efficiently using realms. And that's not just a theory, it's already happening at a fairly big scale. How many projects right now are approximately using realms, or at least have started to use realms? Is it like 5 or 10, or is it like hundreds that are already on the platform?
Oh, no, Rams has more or less 3,000 plus organizations that are using it.
Yeah.
We have we Our TVL is about 1.2 billion.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of trust. That's something
Mm.
that, it's not an experiment. It's not something that's going away anytime soon. And
Yeah.
I love the fact that you also mentioned trying to set some frameworks, some guardrails around how
Yeah.
you should be doing things, in our opinion, to actualize the vision of true internet capital markets. Internet capital
Mm,
markets should be, again, I'm going to be using this word a lot in this show, unstoppable. You have to be able to ensure programmatic ownership, programmatic transparency, execution in whatever you're doing. And Realms is like by far the most extensive and richer suite of tools that you can achieve this, and in the same place, so that your holders, your stakeholders, and whoever has skin in the game with whatever you're doing can watch and see and be aware of whatever you're doing and how you're doing it,
mm,
uh, in a programmatic way, in a transparent way, and with clarity for whoever is watching and whoever cares about whatever
okay.
you're doing.
All right. Without going too deep into the examples, what are some success stories right now that you feel personally are utilizing Realms and the product suite and the tools you have very effectively? What are some of the bigger projects and the bigger names that are using Realms governance and that works well currently? Just like 1, 2 names maybe that come up.
Yeah, Zito is one of the biggest protocols
Yeah.
on Solana, period. And it's, one of the, if not the biggest DAO on Solana, Metaplex
Yeah.
as well, Marinade, you have
Mm,
Beef, which has like hundreds of thousands of members.
hmm.
The list goes on. You have Bonk,
Yeah.
you have Island DAO as well, which is one of
Yeah.
the coolest sandboxes for us to be playing with the tools. So yeah, it's not something that, small projects use, or it doesn't
Yeah.
matter your size, but some of the biggest protocols on Solana use realms, and you don't even
Yeah.
know it. That's the
Interesting.
the gift and the curse of being an infrastructure, let's say.
Yeah. Many people don't see that, but it's these are not just some names; those are core protocols that have been around on Solana since very early on,
Oh yeah,
and that are
oh yeah.
fueling everything we do. Right, like Pyth is in every DEX. You have Metaplexes in every NFT platform. You have Marinade, which is probably the OGest staking LST that we have on Solana. So there's like, those are serious names that are utilizing RAM. And also, you said 1.4 billion ish that are in TVL right now. That means that is treasury money that is basically governed by Realms DAOs that are set up on Realms. Just to make
Yeah.
sure that I got this right. Okay. Cool. Before we go more into the mechanics, into DAOs and so on, I want to take a step back to the beginning of where we talked about where's Realms really coming from. So this was a Solana Labs project, you said? Like this was actually how did that what did the beginning look like before you came in? If you know some of these
So
details.
the beginnings, that's like kind of we're entering some Solana lore here.
Yeah.
As every new L1, you need to have a governance platform, and Solana Labs did exactly that by building Realms. It's exactly
Oh.
the same as Metaplex, which used to be part of Solana Labs, and then it spun out, and it's been the Metaplex that we all know, and the backbone of the Solana ecosystem when it comes to token launches and NFTs and everything. The
Hmm.
same thing goes for Realms. It was built to as the infrastructure for decentralized governance,
Hmm.
and as it should, as an ecosystem should, as a foundation, let's say, part of the roadmap on the road to decentralization, to actualize the vision of an L1 that's growing, that's booming, that's exploding with activity, is to decentralize some core components that that you built in the beginning, and give them out to the community. And this is where we came in as, some of the biggest users of Realms. We were like the natural choice and the natural option to take this over. And I'm very, very proud and very happy with the progress and the insane amount of work that the whole team has put in the past year. The Realms that
Hmm.
you see today is not entirely the Realms that you've seen uh, a couple of years ago. V2 has been launched for a while now, and it's an amazing accomplishment for our tech team and for everyone in the team. So go check it out for sure, because you're gonna be wanting to check it out.
Hmm. Cool. Okay, that's a little piece of Solana lore here. Also, some things that I didn't know. I actually did not know that Realms was a Labs spin-off and then became a more independent structure now that you guys are leading. Now, coming back to the general idea of DAOs, before I want to before I talk more about realms itself, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe that's just my echo chamber that I'm in, but I feel like that there was definitely a time when DAOs were much more trendy, when it was a topic that was kind of hot, like everyone was talking, when it was new as well, right? And then it became a bit boring, probably, right? Like, because now it's there and it exists. But I also feel like there's been quite a lot of failures, which is normal for something that is innovative and new. Especially when you're building at the edge of innovation, you're gonna have some experiments that fail. And I think there were a few DAOs that actually didn't make it. I think one prominent example that I remember was around Mango. I think Mango Markets. I think they had a DAO as well, and there was like some fuck up that happened that was not working really well. Is there any patterns or any failures that you observed that have been um, that stick out, like reasons basically for DAOs not working? Like, what are some of the top reasons why DAOs did or could fail? Is it more like the design of the governance? Is it the voting kind of structure, how votes really happen? Like, what are some of the pitfalls when it comes to DAOs?
Okay. That's a great question. Thank you for this. So DAOs can fail for many reasons. DAOs, yes, were popular where they were the new shiny toy when they came out, when the whole concept, when Vitalik started talking about it, and when we started having more and more DAOs, initially in the EVM ecosystem, and then on Solana, of course.
Mm,
The sad thing about this is that DAOs very quickly became a meme. Everybody strapped on the word DAO in a TG
yeah.
group or in a Discord group, and they started calling this thing a DAO. That's
Yeah.
not how it works. That's not how it should work. And many, 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 many examples of not using any tools that have to do with decentralization or automation or whatever were being used in things that were called the DAO. So that's one. That's how the word became a meme, and that's where people started to feel a great resentment. I can say about the concept of DAOs, whereas it's not the case. It's something that, again, it's very useful. It protects you. It gives you the benefits, the transparency that you need as a stakeholder. It gives you true ownership before the word was cool as it is recently.
Hmm.
When it comes to Mango, for example, as an example that you're bringing, Mango is one of the most OG projects and one of the most significant projects in the early Solana days.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a very robust DAO. The setup, the activity, and how it was run, it was like very, very true hardcore decentralization. Sure, again, you can say that without being there, without being a hardcore Mango member, I can't speak for all the details of what happened and how it came down. The
Mm,
whole incident that happened with the profitable trading strategy didn't help things, and as it happens, the rest is history on what happened with Mango. Um,
mm,
One of the things that it's very, very important, and I was saying earlier, it's how it matters how you set up things. It matters how you set up your distribution, your quorum setups, how quickly and how easily things can get approved, and how get in your own way as an organization. So, being the early days and being that most likely we learn from our mistakes. These are things that you should be paying. I think that the biggest lesson is that you should be paying attention to the token distribution of your token when it comes to
mm,
it being used for governance, and
mm,
being very, very careful and very surgical about the setups of your DAO when it comes to quorum, treasuries, and program upgrades and everything. So it's not
mhm,
like Mango is not an example of DAOs failing. Is examples of something going wrong in a protocol that's being run in a
yeah.
decentralized way, and
Mhm,
one thing led to another, and things implode or don't go the way we want to go. anywhere. It doesn't have to be a DAO. This happens to startups as well. It was just
Mm.
that it was more public, let's say.
Mm. What is your take while we're talking about some issues when it comes to DAOs? I'm sure you followed the recent Aave discussion that happened as well. Are you familiar with the topic a little bit from timeline and so on? There has been, for people that are
Yeah.
not familiar with it, there has been an incident as well where, like very recently, last week or 2 weeks ago, it started that Aave, which is the biggest, the OG lending protocol on Ethereum, had integrated CowSwap into the protocol's front end, but that was basically done via Aave Labs and not via Aave DAO. And they potentially redirected like millions of dollars in annual swap fees to the Labs entity. That was at least what the users, I understand, saw happening. And they were asking the question of, hey, how's this good for the DAO? Like, why are we, how, like, you kind of left us out of the whole value accrual here, when it comes to this new revenue stream. So if a DAO is set up perfectly, in my opinion, then obviously the DAO should, also control the majority of decisions like this, but then also earn the rewards from that, right? Like if there's a huge protocol update on my protocol that I, as a DAO member, am I part of, which is Aave. But if I don't really own the front end, if that sits with Aave Labs, then they can, do things like this, and it won't affect, for example, the token valuation at all. The opposite, it might have a negative effect on my token because it shows that, hey, they can do things with the product that won't create revenues for the DAO, for the treasury that we govern, but actually for the company that's centralized, which is Aave Labs. What went wrong there, in your opinion? Did something went wrong there? Is there a way to do that better? Do you have any take on this situation?
Yeah, so Aave, as you said, is one of the most OG DAOs, and if not the biggest lending protocol on EVM, and to extent in crypto, a huge
Interesting.
company.
Yeah.
Um, one thing I can say, because these are very complicated issues that we're facing, and we're trying to solve, everyone in the ecosystem, especially when it comes to governance, whether it is by token voting, market-based voting, or whatever your school or your flavor is
Mm,
that you have to understand that in hindsight, everyone is 100% right. So the way things were set up, and again, I'm not an expert in Aave. But
mm,
I'm not a core contributor there. I don't know the whole
yeah.
story. It has to do with how you set up things in the very, very beginning of your DAO. And it turns out that this was something that, the way I interpret it and the way I understand it, that labs could do, they were allowed to do in a way, let's say, to turn
Mm,
on the fee and keep collecting the fees from the cow swap. But this doesn't mean that you cannot set up a DAO that owns the way this happens. Now, how you do that, this is something we're all trying to navigate. This is something that I don't have an answer at the moment, and I don't think there's the answer lies into uh, legal wrappers, legal protections, and take them to court and everything. Going back to to the Mango story, which is not finished, by the way. This is going to be something that
oh,
we're going to
really?
have news very, very soon.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't know that.
once you start going back to courts and the lawyers and everything, this is not some as straightforward as it sounds. It means that the legal wrappers and legal protections can only take you so far, and it's not something that it's so clear and straightforward as you would think. Oh, I'm covered by a legal wrapper, everything's going to be fine. If something goes wrong, I'm going to sue the DAO, I'm going to sue Aave Labs, and I'm going to get my IP, I'm going to get the cow swap fees or whatever back to the DAO. Again, this has to do how things were set up in the very, very early days. We have to also remember that little much less of the tech was available back then. The people were doing the best they can, as far as I understand, for some of the pioneers in the ecosystem, and it's a very interesting story. I'm gonna, I'm trying to watch it now. I'm trying to read it, to it as much as I can. But it's a deep, deep rabbit hole that requires tons of knowledge and nuance that you can only have if you're like a very, very core contributor, or you spend a lot of time
Mm,
reading
yeah.
all the sides of the conversation.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really I thought it's an interesting case study of the shortcomings that we might still face when it comes to DAOs. If there's a centralized entity like Labs involved that that owns parts of the maybe the front end, technically, and then can simply do things with the app that the DAO is not even okay with. In this case, I think the DAO would be okay with it if they get the share of the fees as well, which wasn't the case. But you touched on something right now, Taki, which is also really interesting, which is your idea of programmatic protections over legal wrappers, which is something I see a lot when it comes to conversations within realms. So I think Dean is also talking about this a lot, and I saw some tweets where he keeps saying that, hey, legal wrappers are not the holy grail here, which is something that MetaDAO is doing, I think, more with their concept, where you have like more rights based on legal wrapper that basically governs the treasury, and then the token holders govern the treasury via having rights to that entity's decisions. Now, I think you guys are more the opinion that code can enforce rules better than a legal wrapper when it comes to holder safety, which is, to an extent, it sounds like it makes sense. But aren't there also obvious shortcomings here, like majority of votes lie with majority of token holders, for example? That's a very common thing that I see amongst DAOs. Like, you have whales that can just outvote everyone else. Isn't that something that is like very dangerous?
You also have whales that can outtrade everyone else.
True.
So the
Yeah.
the, the whale
That's another thing.
factor, it's always in the equation everywhere across the board. So
True.
yes, we are of the opinion and the school of thought that code is law. It's something that I've been saying. It's more core to the crypto philosophy and the crypto ethos.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
we should be striving to take the industry forward and not regress into practices that resemble Web 2. Like, we're trying to change the future of finance. We're trying to change the future of human coordination, and now we're just going to use this little tool here from the old world, this other tool little here, instead of let the code do the work for us. To a certain extent, obviously, there's aspects that you cannot control yet by code. Let's say if you have a revenue that's coming in fiat, how do you control that by code for the treasury of your DAO? But in essence, one of our the biggest difference of how we see things versus MetaDAO is that ownership can be enforced uh, better, and it's more future proof. Let's say if you do it by code, if you try to enforce everything by code, the protections for your holders, the benefits they get, the transparency of having everything gathered in the same place. That to me is a better sense of ownership than having to trust some lawyer in the Cayman Islands. So
Mm.
having things protect you by code instead of a legal wrapper that, oh, I'm going to sue the founder if they do something that I don't like. Let's see how it's going to go down if you start suing, how long it's going to take, how the litigation process is going to look
Of course.
like,
Yeah. It's
and
painful.
the whole rabbit hole of going down legal battles.
Mm.
So we are of the opinion that programmatic approach is much better, and this is what we should be working and moving towards as an industry in general, rather than trying innovating by just using practices from the Web2 world. Again,
Mm.
there's going to be examples that we haven't solved for through code, and we're going to do need some legal protection, but that's not the solution that gives you true sense of ownership and control if something goes bad. It should be code that
Mm.
protects you, and programs and program authorities to the DAO, and people can see the community should have a veto to the decisions of the team. If you see something that goes very wrong, if you see,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, a proposal that says, hey guys, let's send you the treasury, I'm voting yes with my 20% of the supply, the other team members vote yes with the other 15% of the supply, and the community does what? We saw that happening with Parrot, for example, in the past. That was
Mm-hmm.
another famous incident, and nobody could do anything to stop it. But now with Veto, which is, by the way, available in Realms today already, you can stop the team from doing something bad. You have a high enough quorum as a community, as holders, and when you start seeing that something goes wrong, hey, I don't like this. This is very bad for my for the future of the project. You can veto and you can stop this. So this is
Mm-hmm.
part of the protections by code that we want to pursue, and that we believe is a better solution, rather than, oh, the team is emptying the treasury, let them empty it and then we're going to take them to court.
Okay,
You see the difference.
I do see the difference, and I wanted to talk about Veto anyway, so it's good that you bring it up. Because there's one little, just a caveat, to make sure that everyone understands how that really works. I can basically, like, even if the proposal would pass, right, by quorum, I could go in and say no. I could veto this as a DAO member and token holder, and I could say, hey, we should consider a different decision here, and then I don't need, like, what happens if I do the veto? Like, I don't need the majority anymore. For the veto decision, I can just, how does it work?
The majority of the community
Mm-hmm.
you should have a quorum achieved in the
Mm-hmm.
veto.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Okay.
need enough people to gather up and then say, hey guys, this is not good for
Okay.
us. We're stopping it. You can't
Okay.
go by yourself and stop it, as
Mm,
you were like a
sure.
huge holder. It's the total expression of the whole community banding around and banding together to
Mm-hmm.
stop a very, very bad decision happening. Because if you're going to see a lot of people saying no, then you're doing something wrong.
I see. And how do I, as a founder, like on the other side of the medal here, if I want to fast track a decision, and if I need to get something done quickly, and if it's not malicious, can I do that with Realms? Like, how fast can I get
Yeah,
things
because
through?
yeah, you can do it because you have your council vote, your multi-sig vote, however you want to call it, and you
Mm-hmm.
can do things fast. You can um, take your decisions very fast. You can execute them programmatically again. Transfer the tokens here,
Mm-hmm.
or pay for an audit transparently, and let's see where that money goes, and that it goes for an audit and it doesn't go. Uh,
Mm,
Somewhere in a wallet to trade the funds for the audit
mm.
in the market. You can do that. You can say that somebody might want to veto your
Could
let's say
happen, I
vote to
guess.
transfer the salaries of the team,
Yeah.
to the multisig for payment. But again, that's not going to have a big enough quorum, because no, not many people, like
We're
the
disagreeing.
people
Yeah.
are not stupid. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
gonna see that, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Like
Yeah.
somebody is vetoing, the quorum most likely will not be achieved. It's gonna be
Mm.
like, I don't see a very possible to the community banding together and achieving a 60-70% quorum and stopping you from
Yeah. For something that's reasonable.
transferring the allowance of the team for the month out of the treasury.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
another form of protection and a programmatic way to do things is that you use streams and payment streams, investing streams, to stream the allowances from the get-go to the
Okay.
team, to
There was another
the
question.
needs
Yeah.
that you have for finance
Yeah.
for
You
your
don't
team.
need
So that's
you don't
another.
need constant approval for these things. It's just a stream that is once approved and then it goes through.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and this happens upon TGE. So you have your setups, your
Yep.
stream setup for the team. And
Yeah.
this also means that you don't have funds available, a huge amount of funds in the treasury that they
Mm.
can be,
Do whatever they want.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that is clear and similar. This is an overlap with MetaDAO. I think that makes sense in both concepts. You have at least this kind of core salary that you can just get out on a monthly basis. That will, it's set in stone once at the beginning. Obviously, it can be changed, I guess, through a proposal if people want to, adjust these budgets. But at least you don't need constant approvals for that, because that would be a pain in the ass. It's always this kind of thin line between being fast enough on the decision making process, and I hear that a lot in the ecosystem as a constructive feedback to how DAOs and governance, decentralized governance works. Because as a startup, you want to be fast, but then the other side of the medal is, okay, I also want to protect my holders. I want to, keep the best interests for everyone aligned here. And I think that is the success factor really of DAOs, why they can work so well, in my opinion, is because of the shared interest and the aligned incentives with everyone. Because as a token holder, obviously I want the best for my protocol, right? And that is
Exactly.
it comes down to that at the end of the day, right? Like, this is why it works. Because why would I not let a proposal through that is going to be good for value of my company going up in the long term, right? I think it only can break. There's a few ways it can break probably, but another way it could break is when people are too short-sighted, right? And they do things for hype rather than sustainable decisions that make the company valuable in the long run. Because as a token holder, I could also make decisions that are good for the next week, but not for the next 2 months for my token, and then I could just sell and get the fuck out, right? Like, there's also this. Is that something that is an issue that people talk about, or that
It,
you've
it,
seen?
it is an issue, and that's why I'm very pumped and very excited that we have Sowelian governance, which is a form of market-based governance, and that also
Mm-hmm.
can be used on Realms as a hybrid solution to token voting. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the coolest concepts I've seen, like in recent years, because you bet where you put your money where your mouth is, and if you are wrong, and if you are short-sighted, or the market shows you that you are short-sighted, you lose your bet. So you have something to lose, and you also have something to gain, depending on how good or bad or stupid, let's say, your decisions are. So this
Mm-hmm.
is something that we're very pumped that we have it out there. We're already testing it, in numerous ways. Island DAO tested it
Mm-hmm.
recently during Island DAO V3, and we are also testing it with a proof of concept fund that we are that's doing amazingly well. It was just a little fund that we spun up for as a proof of concept for using a fund, a Sowelian governance fund, and now we're going to be launching another one that's some piece of alpha on the
Mm-hmm.
show. Island DAO is going to be using Sowelian governance for a proper fund, and that's going
Cool.
to be a wild ride. And I'm very, very excited to try it out and see
Mm-hmm.
people participating, and see um, how good decision making or proper decision making can affect and should be affecting the way you do things.
Nice. It's fun in terms of investing in things, right? So you guys,
Yes,
like,
yes,
investment decisions will be made purely on a surveilling governance kind of DAO
exactly.
structure.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
That is cool. Interesting. And then you guys what kind of investments is that? Like tokens or companies, equity, like what?
This is TBD, so stay
Okay.
tuned about the announcement. Most likely tokens, and we're going to see what we can work in. The most exciting thing for me is to see how the decision-making process works, and
Yeah.
how you can get rewarded for good decisions that turn out to be good by quantifiable KPIs, or
Mm-hmm.
get punished for bad decisions. So it
Mm.
keeps people at check, and it rewards immensely people that do good decisions, and it compounds along the way for people that take the initiative, and because it's always scary to put a proposal forward, but it
Mm.
also rewards you more if you put that, if you take that first step and you lead the charge, and that decision proves to be good. This is one of the most rewarding things that you can do. So on top of
Mm.
whatever investments you're doing as a fund, you
Mm-hmm.
also have the incentive to be rewarded more, and
Mm-hmm.
get more rewards based on how did you
Milestones and
contribute in the good decision making of the fund, or
yeah.
whatever group you're using the surveillance governance for.
Cool, cool. Yeah, in a nutshell, I think surveilling governance, for people that don't know what it is a governance model that is bound to outcomes that are measurable, so KPIs that you can set in stone, before the vote happens, and then it's kind of tied to these outcomes to become true first, to then get the reward that you kind of betted on, if you can make it. So that
Yeah.
is different from other kind of governance models, also from Futarchy, where you don't have like milestones and it's just market based decision making purely. So that is a concept that I think right now I only know realms now, really, to embrace this as a potential governance structure as well. And I'm really curious about these case studies to see some of these POCs come to life. Now, before I talk a little bit about some exciting things that are coming up for realms in the next couple of weeks or maybe months, I want to one more time I want one more time to compare, or not compare, but get your view really on Futarchy and on this whole topic, because I'm personally right now doing my deep dives. I research a lot on how Futarchy works, how Realms works. So it's a good time actually that we're on right now as well. And I'm still not 100%, super fan of super fan of Futarchy and the concept, but I do see that it works here and there, and I see that there's some good to it. I'd like to hear some opposing views to that. So if there's anything you can tell me that is against Futarchy, and anything that you can tell me that why you are currently not using it, for example, at Realms, to my understanding, and I guess you're also not considering it to introduce it, or do you have Futarchy based markets on Realms?
Why not? Why not?
Okay.
If enough people ask for it, we're gonna build it. Like we've considered doing it in the past, but there's not enough users that want Futarchy and they want to be
Okay.
guided entirely by Futarchy. That's what we've seen on our experience on Realms.
Interesting.
And personally, my biggest gripe with Futarchy, and that's a striking opposition to sovereign governance, what we were discussing earlier,
Mm-hmm.
is that you don't have proper and good and beneficial decision making is not the North Star anymore for your organization. You are now dealing with traders that, trading is not, it's not affected by emotion, ideally and technically, and it trades for profit. It doesn't trade for good decision making. It doesn't trade for good outcomes. So I, I'm, I was reading yesterday, I think, an analysis about a recent proposal that Loyal, I think, one of the ownership coins had.
Mm-hmm.
And we could see through that analysis that they were like, forgive me if I get the numbers wrong or not entirely accurate. There were like, let's say, 100K in volume from that vote, but in reality, that volume was just one wallet arbitraging between yes, pass and fail votes. And
Mm-hmm.
if you remove the trades of that wallet, the actual number of traders was like, I don't know, maybe 10 traders or something. And we've seen this past, but by the way, Island DAO is the second the second biggest user of Futarchy besides MetaDAO. If you go to MetaDAO, you can see the stats. We have the most proposals behind MetaDAO because we were using it. We have used it in the past, so it's not like
Mm-hmm.
we're saying things, we're talking things from the outside.
Yeah.
Island DAO, and it used to be Dean's List, because I want to come back to something that you said earlier. Island
Mm-hmm.
DAO and Dean's List are one. Island DAO is not just the events anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Okay.
merged for a while now. So the whole DNA and the whole community of Dean's List and the power users that we've always been has been part and is part of the Island DAO family, including the events and everything that we're doing. To close
Mm-hmm.
that tangent, we've used Futarchy a lot, and we've seen that it doesn't work, and not many people are actually well versed to do it, to use it. And going
Mm-hmm.
back to yesterday's example on the loyal vote about the
Mm-hmm.
rebranding, I think, which is also
Mm-hmm.
something that's kind of iffy on who decides on the rebranding, and how long did the conversation last on whether we should rebrand or not, and what there are the solutions or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You could see that if you remove the arbitrage wallet that did the 100K in volume, more or less, or 80K or 70K, you could see that it was the whole proposal was rated by 10 unique users or something.
Mm-hmm.
So this means that people are going after, and the result that came to be, which I think was the past result, was because people weren't buying the fail. So another thing that you can see with Futarchy is that if you are broadcasting the result, let's say we're putting a proposal that's very evident that the community wants to pass. That's something that, as a trader, when you're using Futarchy, you can use it as an edge. If you're entering a trade knowing that one of the two outcomes, most likely by the consensus that you can understand around you, is being favored, then you have a great advantage as a trader. Then you start trading over that advantage and using that advantage. And this doesn't mean that it will lead to a proper decision making.
Mm-hmm.
It won't lead to a decision that's good for the outcome of your organization. So that's
Mm-hmm.
my biggest opposition against Futarchy. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very fun experiment. It's a very cool experiment, but it doesn't work when it gets to the nitty-gritty, and
Mm,
it won't work because of that factor of not aligning the incentives of traders pursuing profit and good decision making, good outcomes for your organization. And
mm,
that's the biggest like thing that people are missing when it comes to Futarchy, because they like to jump on
mhm,
the bandwagon and become fanboys, or the latest shiny new toy.
mhm.
But yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Interesting. No, I appreciate the controversy, and I think it is important to talk about it from both sides. Because, as you say, it is very easy to get blinded by short-term successes and a bit of hype that's going on around these models, and then not considering any shortcomings to it, right? Because we've seen it in crypto over and over that things can go parabolic and then die very quickly as well, because it's not very well thought through. I'm not saying that MetaDAO is not well thought through. I think there is a lot of substance there, but yeah,
Don't get me wrong. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you here. Like
yeah, please,
MetaDAO and Profit and Colin have done like tremendous work. They
yeah, I think so.
they've
Yeah.
worked a lot. They've done amazing things. They are trying to innovate the space, and I can from our interactions with them, I can say that they're trying and they're doing their best, and they've built like amazing products, and congratulations to them. But we don't agree on the way that things are done, and people should be aware, and that's something that we are trying to hammer down as points, that ownership doesn't come from legal wrappers, it comes from code, and that's what we
Mm,
should be striving as an industry, not going back to Web2 practices of the past.
cool. I see that. Now, Taki, there's going to be something big happening in Q1 for Realms. I think it is one of the most important events probably for the organization in its lifetime so far. And it is related to a token launch. You guys decided to put out a token there. And I think this is a good moment here to talk very briefly about where that decision came from, and why you have that token. That is the big question always in the market. So let's see if we can get some answer out of you, some a bit more context about the token itself as well. I don't think we have a timeline yet that is fixed. All we know is Q1, so that's fine. But let's talk a little bit about the decision behind the token, why it's going to be out there, why you think it's a good idea to have the token for Realms, and maybe also about the puzzle pieces that you have been putting in place already in the past months leading up to the token launch that are now finally all kind of falling into place here.
Yeah, so the token launch is something that we've been working on for a while, and it's like one of the many Lego pieces that we've been piecing together for over a year now. Starting from launching V2, a new, faster, better version of Realms with more features that we keep shipping like almost every day. Shout out to the technical team out there. And It's one of the things that, as I mentioned earlier, like Labs launched Realms. Realms is not like a new product. It's a project that's been out for 4 years. It's transitioned to a revenue generating program and project and protocol. We have more than 3,000 organizations using it, including some of the biggest protocols out there on Solana. Period. And it's not something that just came yesterday. It's been around for a while. It has PMF, so it only makes sense that we take the next step and decentralize this even further, because that's how I said you ensure continuity, you ensure how you become unstoppable, and you also lay the foundation, which is one of the other things that we're very pumped with. For the token, you lay the foundation to offer a place for people to launch their own projects and their own protocols through the Realm stack, and having a true programmatic ownership achieved from the get-go, and having following some set of let's say rules, guardrail standards that people can actually see that what they're seeing, what they're purchasing is worth their effort. Like, you can
Mm,
distinguish poor efforts and good efforts, and that's going to happen on Realms, on the Realms platform, on launches. That's going to be happening on the Realms platform. and we're very, very pumped about this. We're very pumped about, seeing the future of, how do you go to GMGN or Bird Eye or Dex Cleaner, and you see the metrics of a token. Now you can see the metrics of the whole protocol, not just each token. You can see them all in one place. You don't have to go be on-chain detective and look around for hidden multisigs. You can see the check marks of where the protections, the benefits, the clarity, and the transparency that stakeholders will have by using this product and this project.
Cool.
And this is something that we're very pumped that the token is going to be the main fuel behind this, to give you access to those launches and to give you access to the governance of Realms itself, from protocol upgrades or how to distribute funds in a decentralized way. We had Red, which was the Realms ecosystem fund,
Hmm.
that we have been using to fund grants and disperse grants in the ecosystem. And that's going to take a new shape or form, and people are going to be able to use it even more and more. And you're also going to have more hybrid governance models, from token voting to NFTs to surveillance governance. And if people want, we will also build Futarchy. It's not a MetaDAO exclusive. So
Yeah.
you will be able to do everything, and the token is going to be the main fuel behind this whole setup that we've been piecing together slowly. One of the
Mm.
latest things that I'm very, very excited, because it's the opportunity for the community to get allocation to the token, to the Realms token that's coming, is the leaderboard,
Hmm.
which is the way that you can start being, understanding decentralization, go vote, go become member of DAOs,
Mm.
go see how you can use and how you can properly DAO, and how to care about decentralization with the incentive of getting a token allocation, start voting,
Cool.
like I said, join DAOs, create your profile.
Yeah.
So these are all the Lego pieces coming together, with the token being the glue around them.
Yeah, I see the picture. This can actually be huge. Like now with all the context as well behind Realms, where you guys coming from, where you are today, how much actual shit you're covering and providing
Yeah.
infrastructure for. Like it's big, it's not a small thing. I think it deserves much more attention. So I'm really hoping to see Realms more and more on my timeline and around the ecosystem in a couple of weeks and months leading up to the launch, whenever it actually comes. But it should be Q1. I think that is what you guys communicated already. So
Yes. Yes.
you're going to push for Q1. So we're going to be expecting that. And the call to action right now, I think, for people would be to at least go to Realms and participate in DAOs and register a profile and start governing, because
Yeah.
there might be some benefits for that as well, which is also one
Oh,
of the use
there
cases
will
for the token.
definitely be that, like,
Yeah.
go check the leaderboard, be part of the leaderboard, start climbing the leaderboard, and this is the way that the allocation is going to be decided for the community members. And very, very, very soon, the next step is going to be the leaderboard for DAOs. So you're going to have a dual incentive system of individuals using the platform and climbing up the leaderboard to get the allocation, but
Mhm.
also you have the DAO leaderboard of DAOs,
Uh,
consisting of the same people
yeah.
climbing the leaderboard, getting the allocation, and then
In
do
the
whatever
treasury.
they want with it. They can
Mm.
participate in the governance of realms. They can disperse it to their holders. The
Cool.
holders should be telling their DAOs to, hey guys, let's do more stuff. Let's cover those check
Yep.
marks that
Yep.
I was saying. So it's a
Makes sense.
nice flywheel that we're trying to kickstart.
Cool. Taki, I've kept you for an hour. I hope we're on time, but I'll close it off now. I think we've touched on many topics. Do you feel like we covered most of the important stuff, or do you have anything else to leave the people with, or are you happy?
I feel we've covered most of the important stuff, and I really, really enjoyed the conversation. Like, it's always nice to have, this these productive conversations. And our vision is, I want to say, for a closing statement, more or less, we have a very big vision of, governance, tokens, and how you accelerate and you succeed as a founder, as a protocol in the Solana ecosystem, of course, which we all uh, love working and uh, pour our blood, sweat, and tears. And this is a big vision for us. The Again, the pieces are coming together. We've been working on this for a while. Realms is not something that just appeared out of thin air today or yesterday. It's a project that's been around, that has, like, it doesn't get a better pedigree than that, let's say.
Mm.
And we're very happy, and we want people to start poking holes on whatever we're doing. Come try it out. We're thinking, we've thought about this a lot, and we truly believe that this is the better option and solution for uh, achieving the vision of internet capital markets for everyone. Protections for everyone, benefits for everyone, and transparency for everyone. So yeah, try it out, and we're very pumped to have you on board.
Awesome. Cool. Taki, thanks for coming on today. Guys, if you want to learn more about Realms, at Realms DAO on X or at Taki Soul. If you want to give Taki a follow as well and get in touch with him, we're going to be back in a few days with more Soul Brothers EPs. This week is a bit different than usual because we're out of the normal cadence. But if you are not yet on our YouTube, then please head over to youtube.com at Soul Brothers Pod. Drop us a subscribe over there because we're growing the account and we have many more things to do in 2026. And we're looking forward to ship much more content over there. So thank you so much for listening, tuning in to Soul Brothers, and we'll catch you at the next one. Peace out.